Today we will be learning about technology and cyber security risk management, which is our chapter 4. We will learn several things in this chapter regarding several technological issues and some cyber security risk management issues. So let's move on to the contents. What should we learn in this chapter? We will be introducing you to the technology risks, what are they, and some examples of them. Then we will discuss about cyber risk assessment. Moving on to the best practices and controls, what should we do and what we shouldn't. In some cases, in certain situations, we will discuss some cases along with these, and we will discuss the incident response and business continuity planning. And finally, we will discuss some emerging technologies which are very much relevant to our studies and their risk and how to mitigate them. Moving on to the understanding technology risks. What are they? Technology risks are threats and vulnerabilities to an organization's IT infrastructure, data systems, and operations. It can be hardware, software failure, cyber attacks, data breaches, natural disasters, or human error. It can be anything. Understanding and managing technology risks is crucial for ensuring the reliability, security, and continuity of an organization's operation. Please be careful here. What technological risks, understanding technological risks will give us more insight in ensuring reliability, security, and continuity of any organization. Then let's discuss about some key aspects of technology risks. First of all, cybersecurity threats is a risk comprises of data breaches, malware attacks, phishing attempts, and ransomware, which can compromise our sensitive information and disrupt our business operations. System vulnerabilities can also be important, which can be an important or significant method of cyber attacks who can exploit our information to gain unauthorized access, leading to potential data loss or service disruptions. Rapid technological advancement can also pose risk related to compatibility issues, obsolescence, or failure to adopt new technologies, impacting an organization's competitive edge and operational efficiency. Data privacy and compliance can also be an important issue, which is, if we can say, inadequate data protection can also lead to privacy breaches and non-compliance with data protection regulations, resulting in legal penalties and reputational damage. Technology can also disrupt critical processes affecting business continuity. Ensuring proper contingency planning and disaster recovery measures is crucial to minimize the impact of such disruptions. We can discuss 3 examples of technological risk, starting with the data breach, then moving on to the system downtown, and we will discuss some ransomware attack scenarios where you can easily understand what is technological risk and how do they affect our companies. So if we give an example, a large e-commerce company stores a vast amount of customer data, including personal information, credit card details, purchase history on its servers. The company has implemented security measures, but due to an overlooked vulnerability in their web application, hackers can manage to gain unauthorized access to their database. A data breach is a technological risk. Here I'm giving an example, I'm giving the definition of data breach. A data breach is a technological risk where sensitive information stored electronically is exposed to unauthorized individual or entities. A data breach is a technological risk where sensitive information like your personal data, your birth year, your information, your address, your name, your workplace, everything you can store in a server. A company or a store can save their customers' data in their server. If a data breach happens, it is exposed to unauthorized individuals. Unauthorized individuals meaning the hacker or hacker group who can take your data and use it unethically. So in the example, the e-commerce company faced a data breach which could have serious consequences for both the company and its customers. So let's see an example of system downtime. A medium-sized financial institution heavily relies on its core banking system to process customer transactions, manage accounts, and facilitate financial operations. Due to inadequate system maintenance and an unexpected hardware failure, the core banking system experiences a prolonged outage meaning the system is down and the system is not working, so no one can access the data or no one can get information from the bank's website or institution's website, or no employee can access the portal to get information or input data, leading to a significant downtime. So here's the definition of system downtime, which is a technological risk that refers to the unavailability of critical systems, applications, or services resulting in disruptions to normal business operation. So in this example, the financial institution faces system downtime in its core banking system, which can have severe repercussions on its ability to serve customers and conduct essential financial activities. So let's give an example of ransomware attack. Ransom means jimmi kora, kauke jimmi kore taka aday kora. So when you take money from kidnapping someone, you are asking a ransom for kidnapping, and that's not ethical at all, that's not legal at all. So a medium-sized company, manufacturing company with a significant online presence and sensitive intellectual property falls victim to a ransomware attack. The attackers exploit a vulnerability in the company's network and manage to infiltrate their systems. They encrypt critical data, rendering it inaccessible to the company, and demand a hefty ransom to provide the decryption key. So a ransomware attack is a type of cyber threat where malicious actors encrypt an organization's data and demand a ransom to restore access. Ransomware attacks are typically delivered through phishing emails. We will learn about phishing emails later, malicious attachments, and exploiting software vulnerabilities. Let's move on to our next segment, which is cyber risk assessment. How do we assess that, and what are the key steps in conducting a cyber risk assessment, and we'll learn about a simple example of that. Cyber risk assessment is a specialized form of risk assessment that focuses on especially the potential threats and vulnerabilities related to our organization's information technology and digital assets. The goal or the main purpose of cyber risk assessment is to evaluate, identify, and prioritize cyber risks to protect sensitive data from attackers or hackers. Let's discuss about key steps in conducting such assessment. We divide that in 5 categories. First one is asset inventory. Second one is threat identification. The third one is vulnerability assessment. Fourth one is risk analysis, and fifth one is how should we treat the risk, which is risk treatment. Here's an example of risk assessment. A scenario has been drawn for you. A large financial institution wants to conduct a comprehensive cyber risk assessment to identify and prioritize potential threats and vulnerabilities to its information technology infrastructure and customer data. So how should we do that first? We should do the asset inventory. asset inventory. The first step in the assessment is to create an inventory of all digital assets what we have, including hardware, software, networks, and databases. Everything we have. This includes servers, workstations, mobile phones, databases, computers, laptops, applications, softwares, and cloud-based services used by the financial institutions. Everything we should assess. We should inventorize every single thing what we have and what we use. Then we have to identify the threat. How should we identify them? The risk assessment team identifies the potential cyber threats that could target the financial institution, and these threats may include hacking attempts, phishing attacks, or malware infections, viruses, insider threats, denial of service attacks, DOS attacks we say, data breaches. It can be hybrid attacks, ABC attacks, alphabetical attacks. It can be anything. Trojan horse attacks. Several kinds of attacks can be happen in the financial institution. So we have to create a cyber assessment team, cyber risk assessment team, and they will assess those risks for us. And then the team conducts a vulnerability assessment to identify weaknesses and potential entry points in the institution's IT infrastructure, and this involves using security tools to scan for known vulnerabilities in systems and applications. Finally, the identified threats and vulnerabilities are analyzed to assess their potential impact on the institution's operations, finances, and reputation and customer data. Each risk is rated based on its likelihood of occurrence and the potential severity of its impact. Now, let's talk about some best practice and controls we should follow in our daily life, day-to-day basis, daily life, and also it can be applicable for large financial institutions, any manufacturing company, anything you say. These techniques or this method should be followed, and these are the best practice in the industry. So what are they? They are a set of guidelines, standards, and measures that organizations adopt to enhance their security posture and reduce exposure to various risks. These practices and controls can cover a wide range of areas, including information security, data protection, access control, network security, and even more. So these are the set of guidelines or rules and regulations to follow so that difficult hackers cannot penetrate our difficult infrastructure. So let's discuss about some best practices and controls. The first one you should always use a strong password, including symbols, letters, numbers, capital letters, small letters, and even a complex password is a very good starting point. So when you enter a new password in a Google or in a Firefox or any browser, Google suggests you a stronger password, including letters, capital letters, small letters, numbers, symbols. So this is a pattern you can follow, and you should change your passwords regularly for bank accounts, for credit card numbers, informations, so that hackers cannot trace you or hack you easily. Then the next thing we can do that we can use encrypted data. Encrypting sensitive data to prevent unauthorized access in case of data breaches is a very significant, important step here. If you have encrypted data with passwords, no one can open that except hacking that, even if hackers cannot decrypt your encrypted data. Employee training can also be helpful. They should be aware of security issues, and they should take security awareness trainings and to know about cyber security threats and the best practices in the industry and about it. The next point we should discuss about network segmentation, dividing networks into smaller segments to limit the spread of cyber attacks. We should not use a single network for connecting each and every PC in a financial institution or any company. We should use different networks, different Wi-Fi's, different hubs to use to create a network, and we should always take care of the network segments, and smaller segments should be introduced to minimize the cyber attacks. In our university we have a IT department where they have training, and they know a good amount of knowledge. They have a good amount of knowledge regarding these issues. We can also use patch management, regularly updating softwares. Patchment is usually patching. We say updating patches. So when we buy a new phone or new PC, we usually update the Windows or update the Android or update the user interface or UI, so that their security issues are resolved and we can get a more stable user interface. So this is some best practices and controls. Now we will discuss about incident response and business continuity planning. What are they and what are the key components of that? IR, or incident response, refers to the process of handling and managing cybersecurity incidents when they occur. Whenever they occur, the response should be there. This is the planning, or this is the process, and which involves detecting, analyzing, containing, eradicating, and recovering from security breaches and cyber attacks. So let's talk about the business continuity planning altogether. Business continuity planning, BCP, involves creating strategies and procedures to ensure the organization can continue its critical operations even in the face of disruptions such as cybersecurity incidents, natural disaster, or other emergencies. It is a continuity planning. When you manage a risk, you will do a business continuity planning where if you face a risk, you will continue. How you will continue is determined in this planning. So here are the key components of incident response. The first one is detection, where you will detect potential security incidents through monitoring, alerting, and threat intelligence. And after that, you will take immediate actions to prevent those incidents from spreading further. And after taking immediate action, you should find out the root cause of the incident and eliminate the underlying issue. And finally, restoring affected systems and data to their normal state. This is the immediate incident response. And finally, the business continuity planning also have 4 key components, which are: the first one is business impact analysis, identifying critical business functions and determining the potential impact of the disruption, and then developing plans to maintain essential operations during disruptions, and plan testing and training regularly, training the employees, training the staff, and what are their roles during a crisis, and plan maintenance, meaning updating the BCP plan from time to time to reflect the changes, and what should be more beneficial for our company should be identified in the keeping in mind the risk landscape. Then we should talk about the emerging technologies and risk, which includes several topics, including artificial intelligence, blockchain, IoT, quantum computing, biometric technology, several things. We'll discuss one by one. Artificial intelligence, and machine learning risk. We all are aware of ChatGPT, ChatPDF, different kinds of AI language, AI intelligence is available for us. It is also free. And what are the basic risk for using AI? The decisions they make are biased, can be difficult to understand, and can also be tricked by hackers, and they are not emotionally based. What is IoT? IoT refers to Internet of Things. The IoT connects devices and collects data, but it can raise privacy concerns, be vulnerable to hacking, and have risk in its supply chains. But first, we have to discuss the IoT. What are the IoTs, or Internet of Things? We use Amazon, Alexa, we use Google Assistant, we use Google, different products from Google. For example, we use Google Home or Alexa Home, we use Google Pixel phone, and there is an ecosystem of every devices. You can connect your Google Home from your home office. You can have your Chromebook, use your Chromebook from your mobile, from your workplace, which is at your home. So Internet of Things connects every devices of a single network, or it can also be from a single company. Blockchain is secure, blockchain is secure, but it has issues with smart contracts, regulations, and may need updates to resist future hacking. Quantum computers are also very powerful, but could break traditional encryption, posing data security challenges. Biometric technology risk is also convenient. Biometric authentication, like fingerprints, we use fingerprints in our phone, we use fingerprints in offices, we use cards, we use face detection in our Windows computers, we use eye detection or iris detection in several banks, but it is very much vulnerable, which you can use others' fingerprints through several methods, and it can be tricked. Identity theft can be happened. So then finally we should consider the following factors while adopting emerging technologies. The first one is security. Assessing the security implications of new technologies and implementing necessary safeguards to protect against potential threats. The summarized point is implementing necessary safeguards, then ensuring confidentiality of the data, then complying with the relevant regulations and standards related to the adoption of these technologies. And finally, the other two is planning for the seamless integration of new technologies with existing systems and process. Finally, we have training and awareness, which is providing training and raising awareness among the employees about the appropriate use and risks associated with these technologies. So we have completed our chapter 4. What have we learned? Let's summarize that. Let's summarize what we have learned today. We were talking about several technology and cybersecurity risk management. The first one was several technology risks. What are they? And under this section, we have learned about cybersecurity threats. We have talked about system vulnerabilities. We have talked technological changes. We have talked about data privacy and compliance, and finally we have concluded business continuity. Then we have talked about several cyber risk assessment, how to do that. We have to do first inventorize all the assets we have, then we have to identify the threats, then assess the vulnerabilities with a cybersecurity team. Then they will analyze the risk, and finally we should treat the risk, how they analyze them and provide us with insights. Then we have talked about best practices and controls using strong password policies, data encryption, employee training, network segmentation, patch management or updating the softwares. Then we have talked about IR, means incident response and business continuity planning, BCP. IR incident response had 4 things: The first one was the incident detection, then containment of that incident, then eradication of the root cause, and finally recovery from the incident. And how should we plan the BCP, business continuity planning? The first one should be analyze the business impact, analyze the risk impact on the business, then continuity strategies with plan, testing and training, and maintenance finally. The last topic we discussed about was emerging technologies and risk, which we have talked about artificial intelligence and machine learning. We discussed about Internet of Things, blockchain risks, quantum computing risks, biometric technology risks. That's all in this chapter. Inshallah, we will continue our next chapter, chapter 5, which is about financial institutions and risk, which is the most important, which is the second part of our risk management and financial institution course. We will discuss about several financial institutions and classify them, and we will also discuss about risks involved in these financial institutions and their possible solutions, inshallah.